Texas is the biggest battleground state.
And in 2020,
we have the opportunity
to turn our state blue
up and down the ballot.
We have the opportunity to expand access to affordable health care, finance our public schools, strengthen our economy, and take meaningful action on gun violence. There's so much more in the United States Senate.
We have the opportunity to pave the way towards a more sustainable future at the Texas Railroad Commission.
We have the opportunity
to elect judges
and the justices
who will restore fairness, equality,
and balance in our courts.
We have the opportunity
to shape the political future of Texas
and repair the broken systems
that disenfranchise working families in our great state.
We have the opportunity to ensure that Texans in positions of power
embrace empathy,
open minds,
and swing open the doors of possibility.
By working together
and uniting behind our shared vision of a more inclusive world,
we will win back our state.
We will win because we have to.
We have to put an end to the hate, the lack of access, and the suffering.
We have to deliver on the fair shot that every Texan deserves.
Our cause,
our movement,
is about the restoration of justice and the expansion of opportunity.
None of this can be accomplished unless we work together.
In order to bring lasting change to Texas,
we must work alongside every down-ballot candidate, every activist, and every Texas Democrat
to continue building the largest democratic movement our state has ever seen.
We're asking you to be a part of this historic fight.
Together, we will create a Texas that we can all believe and thrive in.
Together, we will save Texas and in turn, save the entire country.
Join us.
Join us.
Former Vice President Joe Biden just released that announcement.
Joe Biden is now a 2020 presidential candidate.
Biden will enter this race as the front runner.
I know Joe. We know Joe. But most importantly, Joe knows us.
Candidates coalescing around Joe Biden.
His campaign made history.
Joe Biden has selected Kamala Harris as his running mate.
This is your campaign.
Now's the time to fight for what we believe in.
The 2020 presidential election is less than 2 months away.
The presidential race is tight.
This election is in no way predetermined, and it's going to be close.
Yeah.
We have got to vote like our lives depend on it.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us. This is the Texas Democratic Party and Biden for President campaign's vice presidential debate press conference. We're going to talk about why Kamala Harris is the choice for the moment and contrast her record with that of Mike Pence. If you don't remember, Mike Pence was actually named the coronavirus czar by Donald Trump and completely failed every single step of the way. So joining us today are some of the brightest leaders in the state of Texas. Our Vice Chair, Dr. Carla Brailey, Congresswoman Eddie Bernice Johnson, Representative Rhetta Bowers, and Representative Lorraine Birabil. And also joining us today will be Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee when she is able to make some time. With that being said, what we're going to do is we're going to have everybody give a little bit of their speech and of what they want to talk about. And then we're going to go to a question and answer section where if you have a question, type it in the question box, and then we'll get to them on a first come, first served basis. Again, if you have a question, type it into the question box, and we will get to them on a first come, first served basis. So with that being said, I'll turn this over to our host today, Dr. Carla Brailey, the Texas Democratic Party Vice Chair. Dr. Brailey?
Thank you so much, Obi. Thank you for the work that you all are doing with the party as well as a staff. I think today is a day that we simply will probably never forget. I am quite elated, not only because I'm a graduate of Howard University, but as a Black woman, as a woman, to see we have a woman on the ticket that will break the glass. I think we still have a long way before we can say that it actually will be shattered. But I do think that this is a big step. We happen to have a woman on the ticket that is qualified, that is experienced, that's ready to roll on day one. And that is going to mean a lot, particularly where we are in our nation today. I just give kudos for Vice President Biden for the choice that he has made. And we are elated to stomp around Texas, zoom around Texas for this Biden-Harris ticket. And we are so happy that we're having this discussion. So thank you, press, for joining us today. And we will have each one of our guests to really say a few words about their why story, why this is a special moment for them, and how this connects to where we are in the nation today. And we will hear first from none other than one of our long-lasting, very vibrant leader in Texas, and that is Congresswoman Eddie Bernice Johnson. If you can offer a few words for us today.
Well, thank you very much. And let me say hello to everyone who is on. I see our rising stars have joined us, and I'm delighted to see young people getting involved. My relationship with Vice President Biden goes back to the 80s, early 80s. And we became very close. And I stayed in touch when he had that surgery and had to come out of his first presidential race. And so we've been very close ever since. And so when Camilla called me about almost 2 years ago now and said that she was considering running for president, I said to her that if Vice President Biden runs, which I'm trying to get him to do, I will be supporting him, but you will be my favorite woman. And so we've kept in touch. I first met her actually when she was running for the U.S. Senate and helped to do a fundraiser for her. And I was also in office when we voted on that crime bill that keeps coming up now. And supported that crime bill, and because I knew about the times that were going on. So she has been in touch with me a number of times, because during that time, she was a DA in Oakland, and later, of course, ran for Attorney General in California. And so we're sorority sisters, and we've kept in touch almost continually. Just talked with her yesterday because I had to introduce her husband here in Dallas at a gathering. And I kept in touch with the persons on the committee. I have been very close to the vice president, so he calls not real often now that he's a candidate at his level, but about once a week we have a conversation. When he did announce, Kamala was the first person that I called to say he has announced and he will be the person that I will support. But I want you to stay on the trail. And so when the time came to select a vice presidential candidate, my support was always with Kamala. Number one, because as a woman, especially as a Black woman, she's the only woman in the country that really qualified from the standards of which they've used in the past. That is, having held a statewide office before it being felt that you were qualified. Kamala had won statewide in California for the Attorney General as well as the U.S. Senate. And so that's where my support was. And so I have the best of both worlds. I have my dear friend, vice presidential candidate, Vice President Biden and Kamala Harris. I don't know that we've had this kind of excitement around these two people in a very long time. It's coming at a very difficult time because we have so much work to do with all the damage that has been done in this country during these last 3.5 years. But we have, I think, the best ticket that we could come up with. And so I look forward to tonight because I think that Senator Harris has shown her skills in debate. She's also shown her skills in her knowledge base and her experience. And I will be very, very proud. You know, when you get as old as I am and you see young women coming along and achieving and doing some of the things that you have wanted to see done all those years, it gives you great satisfaction. And so I look forward to continuing to work to try to make sure that we can make this ticket a successful ticket, because I think it'll have great impact on our nation. And so I couldn't have done a better job in trying to get my choices in place, because my choices are in place for this campaign. And although I have not been able to campaign in my usual fashion, and I haven't seen much campaigning going on, but I'm doing my own thing. And we just finished registering a little over 200 people in a couple of days, Saturday and Sunday, that are new voters. And what really thrilled me, a lady came that was older than I am, registering to vote for the first time because of the excitement around this ticket. That made my day. But we, just in those few hours Saturday and a few hours Sunday after church, we registered over 200 new voters in Dallas County. So I'm excited about that. And I'm excited that I think we'll have a good turnout. I want to say, though, we're not doing it in door to door, but the Republicans are. They've been to my door. And so, lots of that works. So we can't slacken our pace. We've got less than 30 days and we got to give it all we have. I yield.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Keep doing what you do, and we know that we're turning blue, and it's going to be part of the reason that we all work together. Next, we will have Representative Rhetta Bowers to offer some words in terms of her story and what it means to have a woman on a ticket, and go from there.
Thank you, Vice Chair Brailey, and thank you, Representative Johnson, for all you shared. As we stand in this moment, a very, very serious moment and serious matter, because Senator Kamala Harris represents all of us. I truly believe that she connects the dots with her heritage, her culture, And being a Black woman, she is an example for all young girls, for all, and especially Black girls. I just think that when Vice President Biden selected Senator Harris as his running mate, it gave all of our campaigns the extra wind and energy necessary to push through. I, like you, Representative Johnson, was waiting for Vice President Biden to jump in. I think he selected someone in Senator Harris that will help to bring the youth vote in as well. I know I have 2 young voters in my household, and the 2 of them talk about the age in some of our candidates, but I think Senator Kamala Harris will bring those young people to the polls. That's really what it says to me, having her at the top of the ballot. I think we also, as you said, Vice Chair Brailey, we're doing our due diligence to break that seal. And this is just one more step forward for us. And it gives people like me something to look forward to. A lot of times I like to think that service, sometimes you don't want this life, but sometimes you are called to this life. And I believe that the 2 people we have right now, Vice President Biden with Senator Kamala Harris at his side, really are truly public servants. I do believe that tonight, when she faces Vice President Pence, that she will show that she is well-versed, she's knowledgeable. And I think that's something that happens when women come to the table. We come to the table ready. I do believe, as you said, Representative Johnson, she's more than ready. She's more than capable. And it gives us something to be proud about. And I do believe that this is the year that we will have the first Black woman serve as our vice president. And she does it with style and grace. So I'm ready to sit at the table, to watch them take the stage, to watch her take the stage, and to watch her win. Because with knowledge, you know, when preparedness meets opportunity, that's when we see excellence. And I know that's what she'll bring to the stage tonight. That's all I have. So I yield.
Thank you very much for your comments. I know I'm pretty excited, just like you. I have a 11-year-old 6th grader who is just as excited as I am. And so we all see Kamala in us. And so it's just a privilege and honor to be leading, as they would say, at such a time as this. We would like to hear also from Representative Lorraine Birabil to offer some words about your story and what you expect to see this evening.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Representative Lorraine Birabil, and I too am so excited to be part of the Democratic team and making sure that we make history this election. Kamala's nomination in and of itself is historic, but not only do we have a chance to make history by electing the first African-American woman to be the vice president of our nation in our history, but we also have the opportunity to make substantive change on the issues that matter. I expect that tonight, Kamala will remind us of why we all are getting behind her and Joe, because of healthcare, because of education, and because of justice reform. We know that we face an unprecedented crisis, and Kamala is prepared, capable, just as everyone has said earlier, for this job. She's held a statewide office twice, been elected, and that was historic and record-breaking as well. And so we know that she has the capacity, the capability, and the fortitude to make sure that the needs of our community are met. And I just must add, the energy that she's bringing to this campaign truly is unparalleled. People are excited. People are ready. People are registering themselves to vote. People are ready to go out and vote. And that's why we're all so excited and so supportive of her, is what it means for our history, the dreams of little girls as they're growing up to say, yeah, I could be vice president of the United States one day. I could be president of the United States one day because of Kamala Harris.
Thank you, Representative Birabil. And I believe we have, I know I love all of you all, but we have Representative Sheila Jackson Lee, who is my congresswoman in Houston. I believe she's on now. Let's see.
Congresswoman?
Yes, I am.
Oh, hi. How are you, Congresswoman? If you could just tell us your story, how it relates to Kamala and what you expect to see this evening. And then take it from there. You can also close us out, and then Obi will guide us into Q&A with the press.
Well, Dr. Brailey, first of all, let me thank you for your stupendous leadership. You have worked as the vice chair of the state Democratic Party, and it should be well known to really bring women from across the state who have the same democratic progressive values together. And that's made an outstanding difference. And when I say progressive, I really mean people who are committed to the empowerment of people. And that's what we see in the candidates that we hope will be president and vice president of the United States. I'm particularly honored to be with one of the outstanding icons of this state, and that is Representative Congresswoman Eddie Bernice Johnson. I've had the privilege of watching in her magnificent leadership in the United States House of Representatives for many long years, working to empower the people, and gratified to see very special leaders in the State House, of which we hope to turn in the majority, which is to turn Democratic. State Representative Rhetta Bowers, whose family and her own leadership is embedded in the history of this great state. And of course, State Representative Lorraine Birabil, who likewise has shown herself to be an outstanding leader, and that we are well able to congratulate for her service as well. This is going to be, in my opinion, the most significant vice presidential debate in the history of the United States, and as well an enormously significant candidacy of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. They represent the best of what America is all about. Joe Biden, as he's often called, Working Joe, a blue-collar man whose family raised themselves up by their bootstraps and allowed him to make his way through school and law school, and then, of course, make a determination that large law firms were not for him, and he became a public defender. That's the kind of spirit he's taken to the United States Congress and the United States Senate. That's the spirit he has as vice president when he helped to bring back the auto industry, and that is the spirit he has as president of the United States. He chose a vice presidential partner that had the same kind of storied history, a woman who was born out of what makes America the greatest country in the world, with an immigrant background, a woman of color, a woman who had a strong mother who raised two young, strong, wonderful young women, very close to her sister, and obviously in a loving relationship between her mother and, of course, her father was an outstanding both educator and professional that helped them in the early years. Of course, as vice president, she is standing on the shoulders of a strong mother, and she brings to this position vision and strength that I believe is going to be key in her effort tonight. It is not a diminishing point for a woman to be called strong and tough as well, but with an even hand and even attitude and a compassionate heart. That's how I see Kamala Harris, and that's what she has been in the United States Congress. Some have pointed out her toughness in questioning many of the witnesses who've come before the Senate Judiciary Committee, including Supreme Court nominee Kavanaugh and, of course, General Barr. We became close working together as members of the Judiciary Committee, my presence on the House Judiciary Committee, and, of course, Senator Harris on the Senate Judiciary Committee. Our stories intertwined because of the passion we had to ensure that there was a just legal system that responded to people of all backgrounds. She was committed to ending racial profiling, committed to building up a better relationship between police and community, and supporting the Law Enforcement Trust and Integrity Act, which became part of the foundation of the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. In addition, she was a strong believer in reforming the prison system as well as sentencing reduction, but she was concerned about juveniles and making sure, again, that the Constitution worked for all people. Born in Oakland, California, she was a product of busing, and she can speak eloquently to the occurrences of Black people in America. So she has a dual experience that relates so much to the great state of Texas. I know that she fits well with Texas and will be part of helping to have the Biden-Harris team win Texas and change the course of history and to move Texas in the column of the great leaders we've had in the past, Lyndon Baines Johnson, Ann Richards, and of course, the Honorable Barbara Jordan, along with one of our colleagues in the United States Congress, Congressman Henry B. Gonzalez, who was a great leader as well. We have great roots in the United States Congress. Kamala has great roots in this state by the many friends that she has. She also will be a star tonight because she has firsthand experience of attending and graduating from historically Black college, Howard University. And she makes that very clear that there is two dual systems sometimes in our educational system. She'll be a powerhouse in advocating for fairness across America that will impact people of all racial and economic backgrounds. So as a leader in the United States Senate, strong in her beliefs, strong in her leadership, and pointed in her ability to question and debate, I believe this is going to be significant because it'll show the strength of the Biden-Harris team, that they're ready to serve not themselves, but they're ready to serve and empower America.
Thank you, Congresswoman. We are now going to go to a question and answer section. To ask a question, type it into the question box and we will get to them on a first come, first served basis. Cool. All right, first question is, Joe Biden announced a $6 million ad buy yesterday in the state of Texas. Do you think that's going to help him flip the state of Texas? Do one of the Congresswomen want to answer this?
Well, I frankly depend. I think it depends on how it'll be used. I understand that that's how much media buy he's done. I think that's great, but we need a little bit more activity in the state, and I don't know where that's going to come. I've gotten a lot of emails, and I participate in a lot of telephone calls, but we got to do a little bit more touching of people, I think, to get where we're trying to go.
Well, let me add to that message. The buy is going to be an important buy. First of all, I think it's important because the media needs to know that the Biden-Harris team is committed. That's the first crunch of dollars that are coming in. I do think they need to be as well balanced in our rural areas because I'm not willing to abandon the rural areas to the opposition. I think there are a lot of rural Texans who understand how devastating COVID-19 has been to them, how devastating it is to eliminate healthcare where pre-existing conditions will not be covered. This team truly has the message. And so those dollars should be spread in our urban centers. They should be dollars that should be focused on our Hispanic community and our African-American community, which if they turn out, that will be a sizable, seismic change in Texas turning blue. And then I think we can begin to see more energy. Obviously, everyone was committed to being COVID-19 safe, following the CDC rules, but being socially distanced. I'm very proud to say that we'll be having a gigantic affair tonight. We'll be having a in Houston. We'll have a something that we organized and I gave the idea to, which is a pre-debate drive-through, and we'll be having socially distanced speakers, drive-through, getting signs, and then looking at this fantastic debate. You're going to see more of that all across the state, and we're going to be listening to our leader, Congresswoman Johnson, and get out and be as energized and as active, but we're getting ready to do that in a very strong way. You will know the Biden-Harris team is in Harris County, in Dallas County, and all across the state. You will know that we are on the scene in Texas.
Great. Next question is for anybody. It says, what are Texas Democrats most encouraged by as we head into early voting next week? And what signs, if any, have you seen that Texas is in play this election? Does anyone want to take that?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah. What are Texas Democrats most encouraged by as we head into the early voting next week? And what signs, if any, have we seen that Texas is in play in this election?
Do I answer that first and then I'll follow up?
Thank you, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee.
Yeah.
And thank you, Abby. I do believe we have known for some time that Texas is in play. And we've been saying for quite some time that Texas is the biggest battleground state. And we've come too far. I think even with the challenges we've faced here on the ground, we have been working ever so hard to make sure that, we turn Texas blue, we flip the House. We know that, as we've said for some time, so goes Texas, so goes the nation. We realize the impacts that Texas turning blue will have. I do believe with the $6 million ad buy that it does say something. But I think Congresswoman Johnson and Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, you all may agree that I think Texans are ready for change. We are truly ready for change, for hope, for civility at the top of the ticket. In Texas, in the House, we had what people like to say a kumbaya session last session. And I believe sometimes they say in Texas, we're not like Washington because we can work together. We know that you all push hard to make sure that the people are fought for. And I just believe that we want to see some change in Washington so that we know the things we're doing here to take care of the people in the state of Texas, it'll really matter in Washington. And so we all know that all levels of government work together. But I do believe that Texas is ready for change. Texans are ready for some real hope and civility back in the White House. So I think more than ever, Abby, Texas is in play.
Yeah, and one more thing to add to that too, the $6 million ad buy, Donald Trump right now is not playing on TV at all in Texas, right? This is the most that any presidential candidate, Democrat or Republican, has spent in Texas the last 25 years. So with that being said, does anyone else want to answer that question?
Yes, I'll comment too. No, go ahead, Representative.
I'm sorry, Dr. Brailey. I was just going to add that we know the trend is already there. The last election, we came within 200,000 votes of flipping our state, and that was in a gubernatorial cycle. And what we know, and I think we can all agree, is that Texas is not a red state, it's a non-voting state. And so the record numbers that we've been seeing in voter registration is a great sign for us. It means that more of our neighbors are getting engaged. More of our neighbors want to have a say in who represents them and the values that they stand for. And I think ultimately what we know that this election is, it's not about Donald Trump. It's about the millions of Americans who are suffering right now, who have either lost lives or livelihoods because of a pandemic that was preventable. So I think that all of those factors, culminating with the energy behind the movement for criminal justice reform, we're going to see that translated at the ballot box.
Great. Dr. Brailey?
To add to that, I think it's just so much. One, for so long, so many people, voters that we've talked to have said, well, why does it matter to actually participate in a presidential election? How does this directly impact me? And I think that we can all see and feel the impact that this has had on all of us. That's one. I think the amount of work and coordinated efforts that we're seeing from the Texas Democratic Party, along with the Biden-Harris campaign, but also the grassroots efforts that are happening, the fluidity of all of what's going on, that people are sharing information in a way that we have not necessarily shared before. So you are seeing a shared effort across the state from grassroots, top, from the bottom, and we are really emphasizing the how justice really matters. And So for the first time, we have candidates across the board, up and down the ballot, that are not just qualified, but they're experienced and they're in touch with the people. And I think that is going to truly make a difference in this election.
Great. Next question is from Bob Garrett of the Dallas Morning News. He says, are any of you worried that expectations are so high for how Senator Harris will perform tonight that it's almost impossible for her to succeed? 4 years ago against Tim Kaine, Pence was not a pushover on the debate stage.
Well, I'll comment on that. This is Eddie Bernice Johnson. I think there are great expectations of her, but I think she has met great expectations. She has proven that she is brilliant. She has also proven that she can hold her own in a debate. And I look forward to her having an overwhelming performance tonight.
Great. All right, next question is, are all of you planning on campaigning in your districts or neighborhoods or the places you represent? And how is that going to look like? Representative Johnson, do we want to start with you?
Well, I'll tell you what, I have already been campaigning. I will continue, and I think that we'll have a good showing. I was really concerned when I read in the Dallas Morning News that we had fewer people registered to vote in Dallas County than we did the last presidential election. And I know how many new people we had moving here. And so I really wanted to focus on voter registration. So I started my own program, and we're moving along. There are several others that I'm working with that have also started some additional voter registration. And I feel very confident that with very little more urging, we'll have a great turnout, because we know that we're being challenged very tightly in this state. But I think we'll overcome the odds, or we'll get very, very close to it.
Great. Congresswoman Jackson Lee?
I agree. I think, frankly, we'll be really out front. I am leading and working and collaborating in my community with a number of eager community voters, if you will. And we're going to be doing car parades. We're going to be doing car rallies. We're obviously using social media. We won't give all of our tactics, but we're going to have a very strong face to the voters to encourage them to vote. And you know what? I think Texans are tired of having their votes suppressed. I know we in Harris County are tired of orders that are eliminating legal. We want to make sure that everyone has a right to vote. We know that part of that is voting as mightily as we possibly can, legally voting with our mail ballots, our early votes, and on election day. And everybody I talk to here is excited about exercising their right to vote. It's a precious right to vote. It is protected by the Constitution in terms of the rights of citizens to vote. And we believe that if everyone votes that votes, it'll be a good day, a good night for the Biden-Harris ticket.
Great. And Representative Bowers?
Absolutely. Like Congresswoman Johnson said, we've been campaigning for a long time. And so when you asked the question, I thought, campaigning in what way? We are doing everything we can to contact as many voters and to touch the voters as creatively and as safely as possible. We do realize that there's a very active virus still out there. So for some time, we have been doing everything we can, gloving up, masking up, giving out PPE to those that will lit drop with us. But I myself have been talking to the voters at their doors. And it is something we've had to do because we realize that we have to do everything we can and leave no stone unturned. November 3rd at 7 p.m. and for sure waking up November 4th, that we know that we left it all out there. So we are doing everything we can. I agree with Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee respectfully that we don't want to give out all our secrets, but we're doing everything we can as creatively and as safely as possible.
Great. And Representative Birabil?
Yeah, so I could not agree more with the people who spoke before me. You know, we are not stopping. We came very close last cycle. My focus at this point is making sure that we flip the Texas House. We have 12 seats we have to hold, including my colleague Rhetta, and we're having a really active weekend coming up. And we're doing everything we can. We have, for example, in North Texas, Tarrant County has 5 seats that are within reach. We have some seats in Collin as well as Denton County, and 2, of course, here in Dallas County. And so the fate of whether or not we can flip the Texas House is right here in North Texas. And I'm literally doing everything I can, from fundraising to direct voter contact, just to make sure that, again, as my colleague mentioned, we don't wake up the next day and wonder, was there something more that we could have done? Because we know what's hanging in the balance. Redistricting is coming up. If we don't get this right, we could lose another 10 years. And Texas families can't afford to wait for that, especially when we have 1 million people in the state without coverage, that coverage is already paid for, that our states refuse to accept.
Great. And I know that we have a lot more questions here, but we only have time for one more. Last question says, has social media campaigning been implemented at all? And what is the effectiveness of these platforms for the Texas Democrats for each of your, from what you guys have seen? So how effective has social media campaigning been for us? Representative Bowers?
I can answer that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can start. Social media campaigning it's taken on a different, it's a different beast today, but and it's truly one of the most effective tools for us. But I'll say this, the former President Barack Obama really showed us many years ago what it means to campaign via social media. It was effective for us, I'll say, in 2018. We used it in 16 and in 18, and it really proved to be one of the best tools. I think at this point in our lives, it is really the way that people can see that your campaigns are working. That's one of the ways that people keep track, that you keep your name out there. It does take a little bit of technology, being technologically savvy, if you will, because you've got to know how be almost as skilled as media buys when you're looking at boosting your post, how many people you're going to reach. What are you have to know all the analytics of how many clicks, how many likes, what are your posts really doing? So I want to say yes, by all means. We've had to use social media as a tool. And again, I think when you use it right, people do really recognize and notice. Thank you for the question.
Great. Anybody else want to answer that one?
Yes, I'd like to do so. Social media is part of the layered effort of outreach, touching the voters. That's what Democrats are known for. That's what Democrats are going to do. We have a lot of tools in the toolkit, but I've seen an exponential utilization of social media, but it's at all levels. But we also know that we have generational voters, intergenerational voters, and we're very good at recognizing how we touch people. I think from this moment on, you will see that is going to be the strength of Texas Democrats. It's going to be the strength of the Biden-Harris team that is going to touch as many voters in the state of Texas as possible. Many of us have had the chance to speak to the vice president and say that we can turn Texas blue, and we're going to work very hard to do so. But I do believe this is going to be a campaign of issues. It is technology, it is various campaign tactics, but it is a campaign of issues. And the issue is, do you want a candidate that is poised every single day to take away your health care and to deny people with pre-existing condition the right to the life-saving opportunity of health care? Do you want a candidate that frivolously said COVID-19 is no big deal, or do you want candidates, a president and vice president, that has a serious plan to save lives and a serious plan to make sure that we can get back to our lives as quickly as possible by following the science and presenting a plan to the American people and to Texans. So we have substance to campaign on, and I think that's what we'll be doing. And our messaging will come in many different forms, but we're not going to let up, and we're going to work without ceasing all the way to November 3rd night time. Probably still be working just right after the polls close, because that's what it's going to take. And Democrats are ready to work that hard.
Thank you, Congresswoman. I know there are a lot more questions. Unfortunately, we're out of time, though. If you have a question for any of the speakers, contact me at abhi@txdemocrats.org. Again, that's abhi@txdemocrats.org, and I'll connect you with the speaker that you have a question for. With that being said, Dr. Brailey, do you want to lead us towards final thoughts?
Yes, thank you, Abhi. I want to first say thank you to all of our panelists today. You have ran, and you continue to lead our community, and you continue to put the people at the center. And that's what our party is about. We are the People's Party, and I think we are showing up in this election for the people, and just looking forward for us to continue to work together, for us to continue to be creative together, and for us to continue to work hand in hand with the community. As we said before, Texas is turning blue, and we're going to do it locally. We're going to do it precinct by precinct and block by block. And it's not going to be hard, because every day throughout the months, throughout the year, we are in touch with the community, and that's what people are looking for. Thank you very much for joining us this evening, and we look forward to cheering together. Even if we won't be together this evening, I know that we will be watching the debate together and knowing that Kamala will do what she does best, and that is debate.
Thank you. Very well said. Thank you all for joining us, and I hope you have a great rest of your evening. Thank you.